Hi guys, Amy here with Amy's Wares. Thanks for checking out my video today. Today I'm going to make a couple of critter birthday cards using some stencils and embossing folders. To start off, I'm showing you some of the products that I'm using today. I have the Party Collection of mini stamp pads or ink pads from Catherine Pooler. This is the Dot Circle stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. I often use pixie spray with some of the more delicate stencils, but this one has a lot of surface area, so it's pretty easy to hold it down with just the magnets on the Make Art station. And I'm basically just going to start off making a rainbow of colors using my cottontail blending brushes from Rabbit Hole Designs. You can see that neat little stand that they are all held in. Those are from Make It by Marco. They're a small business and they're on Etsy, so they make the little clips, the color clips to identify your brushes, and they make chamois cases to keep your stamp chamois from getting moldy and all sorts of good stuff like that. So basically I'm just going to work through some colors to create a rainbow. I didn't do all the separate colors because I knew with as rich as these pads are, they're so saturated that the colors really blend together easily. So I went from, to start kind of an orangey red color into a yellow, and then this teal color. I apologize, I don't have all the names, but it is that one set that I'm working from, the Party Collection. So going into the teal creates a nice green color in between the yellow and the teal, and then more of a traditional blue. This one is something borrowed, I know that much. And then to create the purple, I actually used that flirty fuchsia color and kind of let the colors blend together and did the purple on the end here. This is one of my favorite colors. If I had a signature color, this would be it, this fuchsia color. This is totally my jam. So it blended really nice with the something borrowed and made it more of a traditional purple for the color. So just kind of worked my way through there and onto the big reveal. Isn't that pretty? Okay, and then for this next panel, again I'm using an A2 size of the 80-pound cardstock. This is the Fletching stencil from A Colorful Life Designs. And I do have a coupon, so if you do any shopping with them, which I recommend, be sure to use that coupon code at the end. It'll save you 10% on your complete order. So in this one I was showing you, I didn't spray new pixie spray, but I believe there was some residual on there from the last time I used it. So it was a little bit sticky still, not completely. And then you see I bust out my brayer. Pro tip from Linnea Hollandoner, I believe is how you say her name. Sorry if I butchered it, but she often flips it over and uses the brayer to really adhere the stencil to the paper when she uses pixie spray. So I thought that was a really handy tip. Here I'm just going to use a couple of colors and leave a lot of white space on the panel. I just kind of wanted to create the focal point more in the lower right side of the panel. So I have that nice teal color, and then I grab the yellow, I believe it's Tiara, and then just kind of create a nice little color blend in the middle and fade the yellow out more into the white. So this one doesn't cover as much of the panel, but I just kind of wanted to create a subtle focal point with the stencil. And this fletching stencil is so neat, just love it. Okay, so here's this. Now to give it a more finished look, I decided to use these wonky stitched edge stencils. These are from My Favorite Things. These are a frequently used item in my craft room. So they give you a nice little finished edge, little wonky stitched edge. It's not straight like the other ones that I'll often use, but just kind of adds a little whimsical element and finished look to the edge of the paper. So I run that through my die cutting machine. Don't mind my dirty warped plates. But you can see here it gives you a nice fun edge And it cuts it down just a little bit from an A2 size, so it leaves you with a nice white border. So I use that same size die on both of the panels that I ink blended today. So they'll have that uniform look. And the reason that I'm doing this step first is because I know I want to use embossing folders next. And if I were to try and die cut it after I use the embossing folder, then there's a chance that I could smush down the embossing that I put into the panel. So if you're going to do both, then do the die cutting for the edge first prior to the next step with the embossing folder, so that way you don't lose any of that nice dimension that you create. So use the instructions for your particular die cutting machine, but I was just showing you on the base, it shows you what kind of sandwich you want to use for an embossing folder. And that paper is just a folded piece of kind of lightweight cardstock. I just used that as a shim to create a little bit of extra pressure because it wasn't quite enough pressure when I did it with just the base and the embossing folder and then the top plate. That wasn't quite enough. So do whatever sandwich you need for your particular die cutting machine. This worked fine for mine. So the base, a little folded over paper shim, and then the top plate. And then I was able to create this fun texture with the stars. It's a little hard to see, but you can see it on the back, and you can definitely see it in person. It's a nice little added element to the card. And this one, I believe that first folder I got from Joanne, this is actually all to new. Stocked this one forever. It's called Angled Mosaic. It's absolutely gorgeous. I think it's pretty readily available now. I'll link it in the video details, but this one is really pretty, and I thought the geometric and angular features worked really well with the design of the stencil. So it's pretty neat. If you look at it in one angle, you can really see the design of the stencil, and you look at it in another angle, and then you really see the dimension from the embossing. So it's just kind of something different, a little bit of a surprise on your card. Here I'm showing you I use this adorable little stamp set from My Favorite Things, and I pre-colored and die cut them out. So I won't take up your time showing you that, but I did some of the main elements on the stamp set and stamped them a couple times with Copic friendly ink, Gina K amalgam, and then colored them in with some Copics and die cut them out. And then here I'm just figuring out which little critters I want to use with which panel. I kind of do this same process when I'm batching cards, so just kind of play with the different pieces, see what works. And here I have my beloved sentiment strips from Tailored Expressions. Currently have 4 sets of these, and I use them all the time. So it's one stamp, one die. You can emboss them, stamp them, all different colors, cut them out, and then you can buy the little special storage containers like you're seeing here, and it keeps them all separated. So this is definitely a must-have for your crafty stash. I adore these simple strips. So now I'm just kind of figuring out which ones I want to use. I have this, I believe, is called Background. This one is a birthday related one. So these are all birthday sentiments. So I'm just kind of deciding which ones that I want to put on the cards, but I definitely want them both to be birthday cards. So this one says, "I'm so glad you were born." And here I can't decide. I really struggled to decide whether the red looked better or the green. So I was back and forth for quite a while, but I eventually went with the green. Let me know in the comments if you think I should have used the red. Curious what you think looked better. But here, now that I've got the layout decided and the pieces that I wanted to use, then all that's left is basically to assemble them. Just using an adhesive to attach these card panels to pre-cut, pre-folded A2 size card bases. Now the card bases are actually Neenah Classic Crafts Solar White 110 pound, but I opted to do the 80 pound for the panels on the front, just so it didn't give it too much more bulk, because I knew I was going to kind of pop up the elements on on the front of it as well. So here you see me fussing with this Big Mama roll of Scotch foam tape. Did something change with how they make this? Because I had a roll before that was a much different consistency. So let me know in the comments if they've changed something, or if maybe I got a knockoff from Amazon, because this foam tape does not, it's, for one, it's much stickier and it kind of stretches. It doesn't seem as sturdy, if that makes sense, as the other rolls that I've had. So I'm curious if they've changed the formulation or if I've somehow gotten a knockoff. So let me know if you know something about this, because I'm a little disappointed in this roll that I have right here. But for the sentiment strips, for the simple strips, I have those little Doris thin strips. Those are amazing, especially given how much I use these sentiment strips. So those, you just kind of cut them to size. They're perfect for use behind here. And just pop those both up kind of right on top of where I stenciled to kind of add to that focal point. And then I'm basically doing the same thing on the other panel, attaching it to the card base and using the foam tape and the Doris thin strips on the back of this to kind of put them all in place. So there's really not much to it. The concept is pretty simple. I do still save a little bit of time with the things that I had done in advance, like the card bases and the pre-coloring of the images, but I wanted to give you an idea of my card process and what my flow is, kind of from beginning to end. So here I'm just messing with these fiddly bits again. So not my favorite. I should have actually, when I die cut these critters out, I should have actually die cut some adhesive backed foam, and then I could have had an even dimension behind it. I do that often with my sentiments, but I didn't think to do it with these critters. But maybe when I make cards with the rest of them, I'll do that, because I don't have time for this. These things drive me crazy. Fighting with the backer, and yeah, not my favorite, but oh well. So I put this little cat here, and then that finishes that card. So lots of texture, critter cuteness, and whatnot. So I hope you enjoyed these cards today. I will link all the products used, as well as my coupon for a Colorful Life Designs in the video details. I'll also create a blog post with the information on these cards if you have more details that you want from the process. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, please hit like and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to be notified of future videos, hit that bell as well. So thanks again for checking out my projects, and have a great day. Bye.